These are your keys to success when configuring assignment options in classwork.com. First section on the assignment settings is the time management section. First one is to enable an open date. So if we turn that on, it's going to allow us to set a month and a date and a time. Enable close date. This allows us to pick a month, day, and a time. Enable a due date. So the difference between the open and close date and then the due date is that the due date is not going to control student access to the activity. The due date is just a notification to the student of when the assignment is due. Enable time on task limit. This is one of my most favorite features that I've ever seen in any program. As a technology instructional coach working for a school district, this was one of the most commonly asked things that I got. How can I prevent my students from spending more time than they're allowed on this assessment? This is just a wonderful, wonderful feature to have. Enable time on task limit. When I turn that on, I can set the number of minutes that I want my students to have access to this activity. From the time that they go into the activity and launch it, it's going to start a timer, and it's going to give them that set amount of time to complete the activity. At the end of the timer, it's going to close itself out. It's going to submit it and close itself out. If you're using Google Classroom, then you do have some Google Classroom settings that you can adjust here. It allows you to sync up with the scheduling ahead in Google Classroom, saving it as a draft or assigning it immediately. Probably want to check yes there for auto syncing your scores through to Google Classroom. If you are using a different score scale than 100, you may change that here. And also, blocking students not in the class is a feature that was requested by teachers. So you want to make sure that you probably have that turned on most of the time. Third section of settings that we're going to take a look at here are the student view options. And the first one is the disable submit button. It may be something that you want to turn on from time to time. If it's an activity that you want your students to continue to have access to for practice, and it's not something you want them turning in, then you could disable that submit button. Students can check answers. This is a fantastic option. This allows your students to hit that check answers button up at the top of their student activity and find out how many questions that they have right or wrong. It's not going to tell them what the correct answer was. It's just going to highlight if they got a question correct or incorrect. This is very helpful for them to self-assess and check and see how they're doing. Minimum score to submit. This lets you prevent your students from turning in unsuccessful attempts. So this is going to force your students to re-examine their work until they achieve the goal that you've set this to. Let's say you don't want anybody failing this activity. You want everybody to get at least a 70 on it before they're able to submit it and turn it in. It's going to require the students, every time they hit submit and they don't have a 70, it's just going to kick it right back to them and make them keep trying. Next setting here on the list is going to be display score as. And this option is going to let you decide what you want your students to see as they get their feedback on their assignment. After submission is the next option. This controls what your students are going to see immediately when they turn in their assignment. Do you want it to just go away and tell them nothing? Do you want it to show them their total score? Do you want them to know which ones they got right or wrong? Do you even want it to go as far as to tell them the right and the wrong answers for each item? The next option is when work is returned. So this is different than when they've just submitted it. This is after you've graded it, left feedback, and you've returned it to the students. Now, what do you want them to see? This, again, is going to be up to your style of teaching, and it may also be affected as to whether or not you still have this activity open for other students to access it and take it, and maybe you need to keep that answer key under wraps. The last tool in this little section is student can copy and paste text. This is another one of my absolute favorite tools of all time. This is fantastic. You can prevent your students from being able to paste into the activity. So they can't just go to AI and have an answer written and copy it and paste it into your activity. It is going to make them type out their answers just fantastic. The last section of student tools are tools that you can click to enable to turn them off or on. First one is text boxes. This is going to allow your students to insert a text box and to add their own words. Maybe you want them to use a text box to provide a justification for their answer. Keep in mind, it would be something that you would need to manually grade. It would not be auto-graded. You can allow your students to have access to a drawing tool up on their student toolbar. This is something they could use to annotate on an activity. It's great for RLA, for editing, for marking up a reading selection. Maybe you want them to make connections on a map for social studies. Hyperlinks allows your students to embed hyperlinks. Maybe you need them to provide evidence as to where they found an answer, or have them link to something they've made in another platform. Formulas gives your students the math formula generator. This is fantastic for math and science activities. Images allow students to embed images into the activity. Audio allows students to record and upload audio responses. Right here in classwork.com, your students can record and upload audio responses. This is a fantastic option for your students who are ELL students or dyslexic students, anyone that is going to struggle to type out their answer. The good old speech to text is built in here. Wonderful way to meet accommodations for special populations. And the last one of the settings in this section is read aloud. Another great accommodation for your special populations. Allows students to have text portions read aloud to them in the activity. If you have any questions about this or anything else, don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can send us an email, support@classwork.com.